flow of things. So I just started over, and so we're going to start fresh in this current live right here. But so once again, what's going on, everybody? Hope you're having a wonderful day. I hope you're enjoying your day so far. I hope you're getting the most out of life. And I pray that you're experiencing all the growth in the world. I pray that you're experiencing all the self-realization. I pray you're connecting with your soul and your spirit, and you're coming into clarity, and you're getting to know yourself. And I pray you find ease. I pray you find ease. I pray you find peace. I pray you find connection with other people, and you're able to see the beauty in all the other humans on earth, and you're able to see the beauty in yourself. And not only are you able to see it, but you're able to experience it. And you're able to like harness that experience and give it to other people and to serve other people. I pray you're getting the most out of your life right now. I really do. So yeah, what I want to talk about today, what I'd like to share with you all, is how to build a healthy ego. Right? There's two forms of the ego. There's the ego that is intertwined with the energy of surviving, and then there's the ego that's intertwined with the energy of thriving. So there's surviving and there's thriving. And in order to build a healthy ego, first, the ego has to die. Right? Many people, in the spiritual community, often talk about ego death. What does it mean to have an ego death? And most people experience it through some type of like maybe near-death experience, through astral projection, through a psychedelic mushroom trip or something of that nature, some kind of psychedelic. Hit the thumbs up button too, guys, as you enter. But so what I found was that, I've had these ego deaths like multiple times where my whole sense of identity and who I thought I was crumbled and perished. And what happens in that ego death is now, because there's death, now there gets to be a rebirth. And so every time I found that my ego died from a fear, like that fear-based ego death happened, a part of my ego learned it got to realize the truth, which is, I'm one with God. I'm a part and parcel with God or the universe. It got to see the spiritual truth. And so a part of that ego that was trying to survive died, and then that piece that died then got to rebirth into the other form of the ego, which was the surviving based ego. And so there's egos that can stand for two different things, right? Ego can stand for edging God out. You can write that down. Ego can stand for edging God out, right? In that sense, it's about surviving. It's all about me. It's all about, oh, I got to do this thing, or it's all about, how I make this happen in my life. All the weight's on my shoulders. I'm edging God out. I'm edging the support of the universe out, right? Because it's all about me. It's all about like how I'm not good enough, or it's all about how I need to be better, or it's all about how I am better than this, right? And so it oftentimes that like results in, and I have to, build all this wealth, or I have to, it's just it always typically results in achievement and what I do. And so it puts a lot of pressure on the ego, and then I begin to edge God out. I don't tap into my spiritual power, my spiritual gifts to co-create with the universe, and so I edge God out. And then I experience myself as trying to survive. There's never enough of what I'm asking for. There's never enough. I'm never satisfied. I'm stuck in this cycle of trying to survive, right? Edging God out. That's one version of the ego. The other version of the ego is the thriving ego. And oftentimes that ego is birthed out of the death of this ego. Because this ego, the surviving one, the edging God out one, that's typically most in alignment with society. right? Because yeah, so society is all about achievement, and it's all about get that money, get that paper. You know what I mean? And it's all about how many followers you got. Right? It's about like it's just, a lot of people are in the consciousness of surviving, and so oftentimes consciousness is contagious, and we grow up in that. And I'm walking around with this consciousness that I picked up at school, or from my parents, or from my family, or from friends, or from media, or from television, whatever, and I end up surviving. And this ego is born when this ego begins to die, and I begin to know myself less as a human, and I stop being of this world, and I let that stuff die, that identity, that story die, and my true spiritual essence begins to blossom, and I become aware of what's really happening here. I begin to pick up on the intelligence that's animating my body. I begin to pick up on the wisdom of the energy beating my heart. I begin to feel and resonate with the power of the word, the vibration of sound. I begin to really tap into my spiritual essence and power. When this ego begins to die, and I stop edging God out, and then I begin to embrace God's opulence. All right, I begin to embrace God's opulence. And I made this one up. I got that edging God out from a book that I read, Embracing God's Opulence. I made that one up. If you have a better O word, feel free to drop it in the comments below right now. But embracing God's opulence, which means embracing God's like wealth and richness and wisdom and power and my true spiritual nature, my true who I really am at the core, and embracing that. And then from there, I begin to construct an ego made up of all of these spiritual awarenesses and wisdom, right? And I now begin to identify with those things as opposed to the conditioning, as opposed to the matrix, as opposed to all the crap that comes with eat yeet. Somebody say yeet, as opposed to all of the stuff that comes with edging God out. I'm no longer identifying with putting it all on my shoulders. I'm no longer identifying with trying to survive in the world. And now I'm identifying with my thriving. I'm identifying with embracing God's opulence. I'm identifying with the universe. I'm identifying with the intelligence beating my heart, the electricity coursing through my brain, and my ability to direct my thoughts. I'm identifying with the fact that I'm a spiritual being having a human experience. And when I identify with the fact that I'm a spiritual being having a human experience, when I identify that with that, and I acknowledge that I'm a spiritual being, well, that means I get access to all of my spiritual capabilities, my spiritual powers, manifesting being one of them. How many of you in here right now, 8 of us right now, how many of you in here right now, there's something in your life that you like to manifest, right? Leave in the comment below. I love to see what are some things specifically that you're looking to manifest in your life right now, right? And what I've learned is manifesting that's a spiritual ability, right? And that happens when the ego isn't edging God out, but it's embracing God's opulence, right? It's embracing God's richness, the richness of the universe, the abundance that's so obviously all around us. Yeah, and so manifesting is a spiritual thing. It's not a human thing. And so if I begin to rebuild my identity as a spiritual being, that means I get access to the awareness of my gifts and my capabilities and my powers and my, who I really am. I get access to my spiritual abilities to direct energy and to find synergy with the reality that I want, right? And so what are some ways that I can begin to shut down my ego, the edging God out ego? Yeah, somebody said, let me respond to you guys real quick. Yeah, Diana, you're resonating. You said that's powerful. Basically shedding layers of egos. Yeah, absolutely. Life is like it's like layers. We're taking layers and layers and layers off, and once we get down to another layer, we once we strip all the way down and we see the essence, the core, from there I could begin to find elements of this physical world that resonate with that core, and put layers on that aren't blocking me from accessing that core, but are instead fortifying the essence of that core, right? I get to add to the core now, as opposed to protect the core, right? I'm now when layers aren't a bad thing. They're only dysfunctional when the layer is like protecting and like keeping me from connecting to the core. But when I strip everything down and I get to know what's at the core, and I begin to resonate and vibrate with that, then from there I can begin to fortify what I've experienced by adding to it and expanding the awareness that I have of the core. So absolutely, I love what you said there. It's like, shedding layers of the ego. And then once again, like I said, we rebuild the ego. We're building a healthy ego. So now we're creating the kind of ego that's identifying with and has a tendency to embrace God's opulence as opposed to edging God out. And when I say God, you all, replace that. If the idea of God makes you uncomfortable, replace God with whatever you like to. I'm not attached to labels or names. I'm just talking about the life force, the consciousness, the supreme intelligence that's keeping us alive, that we're all connected to, right? And so, so some of you said you like to manifest in your experience financial freedom, right? Okay, so financial freedom is something that you're looking to manifest in your experience. I can relate. I'm looking to manifest more of that myself, right? And what I found was there's several layers, there's several things, there's several versions of freedom, right? The edging God out ego doesn't know that freedom, right? The edging God out it identifies more with imprisonment, right? It identifies more with surviving. It identifies more with it identifies more with obligation, right? And the embracing God's opulence, well, then that's where I know more freedom, right? Because I'm embracing the richness in the universe, right? And I'm connecting to that. And so there's several types of freedom. There's freedom from something, which is typically what the edging God out ego is looking to do, is get freedom from something. And then that ego also tends to look for freedom to do something. So there's freedom from, maybe you live in a crappy city, right? You want freedom from your city. Maybe you have a crappy job. You want freedom from your crappy job. Maybe you have your financial situation is tough right now. You want freedom from that. And then the next layer up is like, now I want freedom to spend money. I want freedom to do all these things. I want freedom to travel. I want freedom to move to a different place. I want freedom to be myself. And then the ultimate level, you switch over to the other side, the other ego of embracing God's opulence. Then there's just purely freedom. There's no freedom from anything. There's no freedom to do anything. There's just the essence and energy of freedom. I'm free. Because in reality, you are. There's nothing you have to do. You have a job, right? And it would serve you to go, right, to pay bills. But you're free to choose, right? And it may not feel that way, but embracing the fact that you're free to choose, there's a particular consciousness that comes with embracing the freedom that opens up the mind to begin to see more possibilities and paths and roads that you can take so that you can get what you want, right? And so, yeah, financial freedom. You said that's one thing that you like to manifest. So with the healthy rebuilt ego that's no longer identifying with surviving and I have to go to my job and I'm obligated. Well, you're never going to know freedom if your ego is intertwined with the energy of obligation and imprisonment. It's going to be hard to create freedom from that state of consciousness. It's going to be hard to create freedom from that state of consciousness. And so that ego must die. The edging God out, because God is freedom, right? Like spiritual consciousness, spiritual awakening, that's where freedom is, right? The universe is a very large, vast place that can be called upon to support you in your mission. And once that happens over on this side of the ego, edging God out, then freedom is known. Then freedom can be experienced. And so the first thing that must happen is this ego must die, right? The edging God out. And from there, then embracing God's opulence, richness, the freedom that can be experienced. And from there, you can, because the edging God out ego, from there you can fashion the tools. You're a better source for freedom to spring out of. And you can begin to see that freedom, that financial freedom that you want, to be reflected in your reality, because now you're a source of it, because you're embracing God's opulence in your ego instead of edging it out. Does that make sense? You're a better source of it on this side. Anything that you wish to have, the first step is becoming a source of it. And to be in alignment with that source, the first thing that has to happen is that ego that's trying to survive, that's edging God out, that has all the pain and sorrow and trauma and shame and guilt and fear and judgment of yourself and others, that ego has to die, so that the ego that has all the spiritual capability and power can be born. Hopefully that supports you on your thoughts in toward revolving around creating more financial freedom for yourself. Right? Someone said, Giuseppe said, you like to manifest love in everyone you meet. And so that's like that's more of a simple one, right? Like the edging God out one, ego, is edging God out. It's edging love out. God is love, right? God is a very high frequency that is intertwined with love, right? And so if I'm edging God out, I'm edging love out. If I'm trying to survive, I'm edging that out. And so when we step over to the embracing God's opulence side, where this ego has died, then now I can be a source of the love that I want to experience in other people. And I can give. In terms of love, right? What I found is the secret to living is giving. Love is way more simple than, or in my experience, is simpler than money, right? Right? It's simpler. Just give the love that you want to experience in other people. And by giving it, you have it already. And you help other people unlock it within themselves. And so that giving love is a characteristic of a healthy, rebuilt ego that is identifying with its spiritual nature. So what are some other things? Let me see. I'm happy this resonates, Aaron. Good. 4D meditative spirit is looking to manifest more skills. So you're looking to open up inside and to begin to call in higher levels of awarenesses that you can formulate and focus and channel into a particular action that we call a skill. Right? You wanna open up to a particular energy coming in that you can form into a skill. And so, yeah, that requires embracing God's opulence. It requires embracing that life force. Right? The more life force that you're embracing, as opposed to edging out through the ego that says there's not enough. The edging God out ego that says I'm not good enough. That says there's not enough in the world to go around. The ego that says I need money first. All those things. That ego is not going to allow for skills to be developed, because that ego believes that it can't access the ingredients needed to formulate the thing you're looking to formulate. So in your case, what is skills? Over on this side, embracing God's opulence, there is plenty to go around. There's plenty of essence, right? Spiritual essence, plenty of consciousness to be embraced. There's no lack or there's no scarcity. So this ego knows for a fact that these skills can be developed because it's not hard to do. It just requires time and focus and a choice. And so this ego over here simply just makes the choice to develop the skill. And from there, it happens more easy. It's not this big battle to develop the skill. There's no obligation. You have freedom. And skills are so much they're easier to develop from a place of freedom and from a consciousness that is like at ease and that's present. It's hard to be present when I'm edging God out. It's very easy to be present here on earth when I'm embracing God's opulence, when I'm embracing the richness of being alive, when I'm embracing the prana coursing through my body and through my mind and the vibrations in my words, when I'm embracing the light that's hitting my skin right now, that's entering into my eyes, when I'm embracing talking to you. It's very easy to be present. It's a lot harder to be present when my mind is constantly believing that there's something I have to do or something that I don't have. When I'm believing there's not enough of something, then it's hard to be present. And so, yeah, being present is a very key thing to developing skills. So with all this being said, you all, as you can see, the face that I made on the thumbnail looks something like this. Right? Like you see the faces, right? So this is one practical way to begin to dismantle the ego over here that says I'm not good enough, that says I'm not beautiful, that says I have to imprison myself to a particular way of being. This ego over here that says edging God out, it doesn't allow for embracing all of you. It doesn't allow you to embrace all of you, right? And so one way to begin to dismantle this is to give yourself permission to make crazy faces, right? Because this is a mask. This is the ego right here. This right here is like the ego's hub. And so like this ego says it's not okay to feel sad. And so what does it inform you to do? But really on the inside it's so one way to tell this ego that you don't own me and to give it and to kill it is to break out of the pattern, to break out of the mask that it's made you believe you have to wear. And so you saw the face I made. Embrace the goofy kid side, right? Embrace the silliness, right? Like break out of the mask. If you're new, we said what's with the thumbnail. Watch the whole live stream. I'm getting to it now. But this is where the ego is, right? And so if I'm able to break out of the mask that my ego wants me to wear, I'm able to gain some freedom from that ego, and that ego is not latching at me as much. And so that's one practical way, right? Go be silly. I just went to this camp called Grounding Camp by a YouTuber. Got to meet him. He's inspired me to start a YouTube channel years ago, Elliot Host. Went to his grounding camp. And one thing that I walked away with is the ego cannot exist in a state of ridiculousness, right? The ego needs a particular order. It needs everything like this. The ego needs control. But if I consciously choose to break out of that order that ego of edging God out has established, that ego loses control, and then I gain freedom. And so one way, so what's with the thumbnail? Ridiculousness. To embrace ridiculousness so that ego, it has nothing to latch onto. To embrace a particular kind of silly chaos. Right? It takes a particular kind of ego to go live and to put out their crazy faces. Like we all can make all these crazy faces, right? But it's like don't show it. Don't show the silly, ugly, crazy faces. Right? Like, and so it's an opportunity you can give yourself to break free from the ego. Yeah, make some crazy faces. Like, and make some crazy faces while looking at other people. Right? And be embarrassed. Experience being embarrassed. Right? This ego, that's a sign that this ego is dying. When you know the ego that's edging God out, the ego that's not supporting you in your growth, you know that ego is dying. You know that ego is dying when it's embarrassed. Embarrassment feels like death, doesn't it? What's happening? People are judging me. Yes, people are judging you. Yes, experience that. And this ego, it doesn't want to serve. It can't handle it. And so it begins to perish. And so put yourself in a position to be judged and to be seen, to be embarrassed, to feel all of the things that this ego doesn't want to feel. Feel the pain, feel the judgment, feel the fear, feel the shame. Feel all that stuff. And the more you feel it, that's like that burning sensation is like this ego being burned alive. And over on this side, you'll feel that liberation of like, it's liberating to like, yeah, I don't give a shit what you think about me. Liberating. It's liberating to live from a space of like, yeah, I don't give a damn. This is me. I'm weird. I'm different. I'm me. Yeah, I have all these faces, right? It's liberating to be okay with being different. It's like God made you different. And with all of your eccentricities, right? And to embrace those eccentricities, all your little weird qualities, is to say thank you, God. God loves a thank you, right? The universe loves a thank you. Gratitude is a very high vibration. And so by embracing it, it gives the spirit a portal to enter into the body. And the spirit rises and the mind is opened. And there's a presence. It's easy to be present. And that's a huge deal. So let's see. But does that make sense? Leave in the comments. Let me get your feedback. I love this. I want to see if you're following me. Okay. It's as if yeah. 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 It's like the because the divine self, the higher self, right? It's big, right? The higher self that I am, like when I imagine my higher self, I imagine this giant, right? And this giant light being. And so in order to bring that giant light being here to earth, it needs space inside of my mind. It needs space inside of my heart. I need to create space for him, right? If my ego is edging God out, if it's edging my higher self out, the source out, if my ego is believes in scarcity and is focused on surviving, that means I'm edging so many aspects of life out, and I'm diminishing the space inside of me. I'm diminishing the space inside of me. And if I'm diminishing the space inside of my consciousness, maybe I'm diminishing it with shame or guilt or fear or judgment, and I'm diminishing the space inside of my mind, well, I'm diminishing the space for the divine to enter and for manifestation, for growth, for creation. The divine is something that I need, right? And so, yeah. How much space is available inside of you? How much space is available inside of your mind for the divine to enter, for your spirit to occupy? How much space is available? How much space inside of your mind is being occupied by fear? How much space in your mind is being occupied by insecurity and scarcity and judgment and anxiety and the past? Right? How much space inside of your mind is being occupied by the past? Because the past doesn't exist anymore. And that space could really be useful to you in making the most out of your life here and the now. Right? So how much space is being occupied in your mind and in your heart? That's a very important thing to ask yourself, because once you can identify those areas that are being occupied by things that aren't serving you, you can then begin to put a particular type of energy on them, attention on them, that diminishes how much space it takes up. And you can begin to heal, and the wound can shrink. And now the divine can replace the space that wound has occupied. And now you're more empowered. Now you're more confident. Now you're more present. Now your mind is still. Now there's more love available to you, in you, from others. So for me, and from what I've seen, the people that I've worked with, clearing space inside is a huge deal. And so you want to build a healthier ego. You build a healthier ego by clearing space. By clearing space. If you have a computer right now and you want to download a new program, I mean, like, it's like a really good program. Like, this program can create all the best stuff. Like, you can build a business on this program. You can get rich from this program that's on your computer that you want to download. And you see that it requires 3 gigabytes. But you only have 3 megabytes available. You don't have 3 gigabytes available. You don't have much space at all available on that computer. Well, what has to happen? You have to go inside of the storage space inside that computer and begin to clear out space. What old programs are still downloaded on that computer that is not serving you, that you don't use? Right? What outdated programs are on the computer that needs to be deleted, or that at least needs to be moved to a different storage container? Maybe you need to put that on a thumb drive somewhere. Maybe you need to journal and write it out and get it out of you. Right? So right now you want to embrace a new program. You want to embrace more love in your life. You want that to be a new program in your life. You want more money in your life. You want to experience more wealth and abundance. Well, that's a program. That's a program that you download in your mind. That's a program that you download in your heart. But that program can't be downloaded if you're still holding on to that time where that girl broke your heart. That program can't be downloaded if you're still holding on to that event from childhood that traumatized you. You know, space has to be cleared. And right now, maybe there's some circumstances in your life. Maybe a big portion of space is being taken up by the job that you're currently working that you hate. And so, like one of the things I recognized, like I quit my job earlier this year, and it was the best decision I ever made in my life. I set myself up to do that. I'm not saying go out and quit your job. What I'm saying is, when the time was right, I quit my job, and it was taking up a lot of space inside of me. It's taking up a lot of space in a negative way. And what I wanted to download into my program, into my new self, was I wanted to download the program of being a life coach and being able to support other people in their growth and their healing and their self-realization and their enlightenment and their spiritual awakening process. I wanted to support people in that and get paid for that and to be able to do that full time. And I wanted to download this program, but I couldn't download it because the job that I hated was taking up the majority of the space. And so what I had to do, I had to let go of that position so that I can download a new position, so that I can download a new energy, so that I can download a new belief system. And so with all this being said, I want to invite you, if you're watching this right now, to set up a phone call with me, right? If you made it this way, we're 36 minutes in, it means at some level this has been speaking to your soul, right? And I invite you to set up a phone call with me. You can go to GordonXavier.com or go to one of my videos and you'll see like a link to my calendar in the description box. And I invite you to set up a call with me. It's free. The first one's free. It's on me. I invite you to donate. That's always wonderful and supports me in being able to do this the way I do this. But I invite you to set up a call with me. First one's free. It's on me. And we can reflect and we can look all throughout your mind and your consciousness and see where you can clear some space. Where do you need to clear space so that you can download a new program, right? And it's been beautiful. I've been able to work with a lot of different people. I had a girl come to me at first. There's a lot of space being occupied by her family and the pain that she's experienced in the past and loneliness. And we were able to address that and clear that space. And she found herself being free from social anxiety, found herself being able to hold space for happiness, found herself being able to hold space for a new reality that didn't include the crappy job she was working. And she stepped into entrepreneurship and she started making money doing what she loved, right? And so, clearing space, letting go of the old sets you up so much easier to embrace the new. And so give me a call. I love to reflect with you so that you can begin to embrace the new by letting go of the old and clearing space so you can heal. And it's that simple. Can you speak on integrating your new reality after shadow work? Yeah, I can. So, yeah. So let's say, for example, you've been through, so I'm gonna switch gears a little bit now. So this is what I want to talk about in regards to the ego. If you guys have anything else to say or to speak about, or any questions revolving around like upgrading your ego and to reconstructing your ego and reconstructing your mind, reconstructing your life, leave a comment, and whatever it is that you're looking to do right now in life, leave a comment. I love to support you in your self-realization and growth right now in this live stream. Leave a comment and I'll answer it. So take your soul in a low, TR, baby girl. She said, how do you integrate transformation, the new state of being? How do you integrate, when you say a new reality after shadow work? Yeah. Oh, and hello, Moon Watcher. How you doing? What's up? Thank you for joining, connecting. So how do you integrate after doing shadow work? How do you integrate a new, healed, divine self into reality, right? And the way I say, I think this still pertains to the ego dynamic, is embracing God's opulence, right? And so I think it all boils down to the simple quote in life: whatever I resist, I persist. Whatever I resist, persist. And if you're experiencing uh, resistance, right? If you're, of course, much love, movie soundtracks and pogo. If if you're experiencing, if you've experienced transformation and you want to bring that transformation into your reality, but you're finding that the reality that you're bringing that transformation to is like fighting this transformation, don't fight back, right? Because there's nothing to fight, right? It's if I've transformed and I've stepped into my divine self, but the world around me is not reflecting that, then it looks like it's time for me to embrace what I am, right? And if the world around me is, it feels like it's like attacking me. If I've just transformed into an empowered being, then rather somebody said surrendering, rather than like you trying to use this power to resist and fight everything, allow this stuff to come in and know and trust and surrender that what I am is going to synergize with that and change the environment. It's going to transmute the stuff around me. Transmutation happens in surrender. Transmutation does not happen in fighting, right? Transmutation happens when I embrace God's opulence, as opposed to edging God out. And the thing is, the reality that you're in right now is God, TR. That's God. That's God's opulence. That's an aspect of God. And by resisting it, you're resisting yourself and you're losing access to your power. And so there's judgments that are being had, it sounds like, about that reality. And therefore, you're judging, you're stepping into that ego energy of edging God out. And so by edging God out, the space that you're holding for the divine is being diminished. And now the motivation, the inspiration is fading. And so my thoughts on that is to have a deep surrender. I mean, a deep surrender. Like a deep surrender. Like surrender to the pain. Surrender to the judging, surrender to all of the stuff that you're experiencing, and let God take over. Let your divine self take over. Get your mind out of the equation, right? Because your mind isn't doing it right now. The mind isn't supporting it right now. So this is the time to surrender. I had a season of this when I came back from transformation this summer, and I entered back into the reality of that I was in, where it's like, man, I got bills, and I spent a lot of money this summer on transformation, and I have a lot of things I got to pay off, and so I started experiencing scarcity. I started experiencing like judging the financial situation, and then I began to edge God out. I began to edge God out and shut down the space that I was holding, and next thing you know, I forgot how abundant I am, and I had to surrender. And I remember for me that the surrendering for everybody else, it can look different. But for me, what surrendering looked like is I put on a song, I hopped in the shower, I got in the hot shower, and I was singing, "Never would have made it without you." Put on some gospel, and I was singing my heart out, and I was crying in the shower. I was on my knees and just surrendering it all up to God. I was surrendering all the pain to God. I was giving all of the worry to God, and I was embracing God's power to take care of it, because apparently, me as a human, my small mind, my smaller self, can't do it. I can't do it alone. I can't edge God out and think that I'm going to thrive. I can't. It doesn't work. And so what I found was God stripped me over and over and over again until I I embraced the fact that I had it all while having nothing. If I can embrace the fact that I have it all while having nothing, that's when things changes. I remember there was a time this year, like a month ago, after spending all this money on transformational events, and I had $0 for like 4 or 5 days, right? And my clients, they pay, payments weren't happening until like another week, and God did that intentionally, right? It was like a part of a divine plan to strip me of like wanting to rely on money for happiness. No, I was stripped so that I could I could figure out that I had it all with zero. And so, yeah, so surrendering for me, it looked like hopping in the shower. For me looked like hopping in the shower and putting on some Marvin Sapp. He saw the best in me when everyone else around only saw the worst in me. Whoa, whoa. When everyone else, don't let me snap. I'll snap on the track right now. But and so that's what surrendering looked like for me. Right, and so maybe that's where you're at. Let me see where are you at right now, TR? Let me see what you're saying. Surrender rather than resist. Yeah, you hit the nail on the head. I know I'm not in deep surrender right now because my mind is clouded with thoughts about things that I need to change in my environment. When I'm in deep surrender, I'm no longer in my mind, but I'm in my heart and aligned with source, truth. Oh my fucking gosh. That's what I'm going through right now. Yep. Yeah. So yeah, you're experiencing that. You're experiencing like being stripped of all of the things that made you happy in this environment, right? When you were here in Kansas and when you were in Sabatove, you were connected to all these things in your environment that was like, whoa, this is beautiful, this is wonderful, this is what I've always been praying for. And then you went back to London and you were stripped of all that stuff. And now what the opportunity is now you get to see if you've really transformed. Have you really transformed? When none of the things in your environment are reflecting what you most want and who you want to be and what you want your life to include. When your reality is not reflecting that, now you get to see, have I really transformed? Have I really woken up? Have I really healed? Have I really embraced God? Have I really embraced source? Am I really channeling the power of the universe? Am I really am I really in sync with source? And you get to really connect to that from a core individual ego place. It's now you get to reconstruct your ego and build a healthy ego. Right? And once the ego has been rebuilt, that's when by default it's like, yeah, I'm happy. Right? It's like you want to create for yourself a default happiness. Like happiness isn't something that you have to pursue or chase or work for. When the ego's been rebuilt, it's default. It's easy. It's done. Right? And so that's what it sounds like you're up to right now, TR. Is you get to rebuild an ego by letting the remnants of the previous ego, the previous tendency to like control and manipulate the environment to reflect what you feel that you are on the inside, right now it's not working for you. So you get to rebuild your ego so that so you're not dependent on anything external. And it's all about you and your relationship with source. And when you and source are tight, game over. Right. At least that's what it was for me. That's how it worked for me. So, what else is going on? Hold on, I keep hitting this button. Okay, what else is going on? That resonates. Yeah, there's a big old damn. Yeah. Hey guys, since you're in here, you're new to it. The price for admission to come into this to this coaching, to this conversation, is to hit the thumbs up button. That's the price. That's the admission for one. Hit the thumbs up, and that that's the admission. But what else is going on with you all? I have about 10 more minutes before I'm gonna hop off of this live stream. That'll make about an hour. What else is going on for you all? What else is happening? I know some people have been asking about astral projection. I think I'm gonna post a video on that here soon. All right, I'm gonna post a video on that and what my experience with that has been like, what I've been doing with that, what I haven't been doing with that. Is more about what I haven't been doing with that. I think that'd be a good topic. Be a real cool topic to have right now. I think I'm gonna post a video today. You remind me of myself, goofy look, no offense. Yeah, embrace that goofy energy. Yeah, good. I'm happy that you're able to connect with yourself through me. It's good. But I'm gonna post a video today, and it's going to be what I've learned from plant medicine. And if you all had any plant medicine experiences, yeah, I'm gonna post a video about that today, and share some of the things I've learned from that. But I think we'll finish up here now, guys. And I'm feeling called to go do other things. I'm feeling a pull to do other things. But what I like to do, once again, is invite you to set up a free phone call with me. You can go to any of the description boxes in my recent videos. Go to the description box in my recent videos, or even in this video. It might be a description. The link might be in this video. I don't even know how it works, but and you go to where my calendar is. You can book a free call, and I love to talk with you and connect with you and give my gratitude for you supporting this channel and connecting with me for all these years. You can go book a call. I love to support you and reflect with you so you can connect to your healthy ego, and you can do some self-realization. And I just thank you for connecting with me. I'm grateful for you. I'm grateful that you're interested in these types of topics, and that you're doing this kind of work, and you're healing, and you're self-realizing, and you're stepping into your light. The world needs your light. And so I'm grateful for you to share that you're sharing your light, and you're learning yourself, and you're doing this kind of work because it's needed right now on earth. And you're being the change that you want to see in the world right now by connecting to me in this video and this topic. And I pray for your growth. I pray for your self-realization. I pray for your happiness, and that you manifest all that you want to manifest in your life, and you come here and you do your soul work. I'm grateful for you. So thank you for watching today. Thank you for connecting with me. I'm looking forward to what the future holds. Is there any final thoughts, comments, or expressions before I wrap it up here? I'll give it 30 seconds. Much love to you as well, Jonathan. I'm happy it was eye-opening for you. 4D Meditative Spirit. Love that name. Good. All right, you all. I'll talk to you soon. Enjoy the rest of your day. Be easy.